I'm very pleased to be today in the presence of three of the companies selected into the Breakthrough to Scale Advanced Process Mentoring for Climate Innovation, led by Luminspino. The companies that we selected for the mentoring program, of course, that they deal with different types of innovations, may it be product or process innovation, and may it be technological or social innovation. So there are many possibilities. And of course, the implications of the innovations, again, can be manifold. Our invitees today are representing three companies. It's Mr. Ciprian Iorga, the founder and CEO of Skyline Drones, Mr. Luigi Malago, the founder and CEO of Quaesta AI, and Mr. Eugen Mihulet, the founder and CEO of Terzi Balloons. We have chosen the topic of today with these three companies because we would like to address a little bit the aspect of deep tech concerning innovations. So first and foremost, Ciprian, I would like to invite you to share which is the product that you are working on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Raluca, for this opportunity and invitation. Briefly, I will start a short introduction about the company. So the Skyline Drones is dealing with drones, as the name says. And the innovations is, of course, related with drones. What we wanted to develop through that, it is a system, a gimbal that it is used for launching balls for firefighters. So in order to extinguish fires, especially for the tall buildings where the traditional equipments cannot access and cannot be used. Yeah, so that's briefly the idea, but we can share and give additional thoughts later on.
Absolutely, thank you, Ciprian. And when we are moving now to Quaesta AI, which is developing a digital solution. So if you would like to share a little bit about it.
Quaesta AI, we're developing a software decision framework to support the localization of sites in which large infrastructure can be built. And the location of large infrastructure is a topic that involves several components, some technical, economical, and of course regulatory. And we decided that it's very important to focus on sustainability aspects. And so our platform provides a way to take into account several risk factors and combine them with a specific focus on environmental aspects related to sustainability. So, for example, if you are locating, let's say, a power plant in a certain area, it's very important to know if there is vegetation which will be affected by the presence of the power plant. Or if you want to build a large infrastructure, you have to we have to be worried if there is possible presence of archaeological findings in the area. So we have developed this platform based on remote sensing, which using satellite images and other type of data which are collected in a heterogeneous way, is capable of predicting maps of risk, which includes technical, economical, and also sustainability aspects.
So Terzi Balloons is working on developing the first commercially viable stratospheric satellite or high-altitude platform, as some call it. It's actually a balloon, a hybrid between balloon and airship, flying at around 20 kilometers, delivering services that are usually delivered by satellites, conventional satellites, but a much higher resolution, lower costs, lower environmental impact. So it would be quite a game changer for the field. Other companies, bigger companies like SoftBank, Google, Facebook, they're also in this race or were in this race, and so it's quite challenging.
So basically, you are all addressing burning challenges of today and also of the future. How do you approach these big challenges as small companies, small-sized companies? Of course, that there is an art in innovation when it comes to disrupting, right? So indeed, if you are a small player, you can disrupt. Nevertheless, you need a critical mass of resources to do so. How do you feel about being a small company and addressing such big challenges? How do you see the perspective for doing that?
Yes, so for a few years I worked by myself and doing myself the research or working with freelancers to run different simulations that we needed in the process of development. At a certain point, we couldn't do it by ourselves, and we got into this partnership with quite large partners, universities actually, and the Netherlands Institute for Aerospace, which is one of the most important institutions in this field in Europe. So, yeah, because in our case, as a moonshot or a very disruptive technology, it's not easy to go to market by yourself. So this was a solution we found to build up a consortium with partners that can and have the resources for another stage of development of the project. Because otherwise, as I said, the other players in the field are all large companies. So
your solution is to actually go together with allies that are R&D, so research and development allies, that are not competing you directly, but they can provide more resources into advancing the innovation.
Yes, and the good part is that I'm still leading the consortium. So my company has not lost its position in the consortium.
Is a big challenge, is an everyday challenge, is tough. So in our case, our clients are potential clients, and some pilots that we had are corporates. So the challenge is how to address corporates. And in our case, the solution that we have identified so far, a successful solution, was to go through open call of a project of open innovation. So big companies which present challenges on their websites, on different platforms, and they're looking for small companies, specifically startups, which are very specific in solving certain type of problems. For us, this was successful. We were able to get in contact with a large corporate, an Italian one, working in the energy sector, and through them we have answer to some of their challenges, and this was a successful solution for us because in a way we got very close to the client. We developed together with them some of the solutions, so we knew which were the requirements and the important aspects, because in our project, of course, sustainability is very multidisciplinary. There are several aspects that you need expertise in different fields, and of course we do not have all this expertise within our company, and so working together in a pilot project with potential clients was useful in order to access the information in a let's say in a direct way. Together with this approach, we are also working in the direction looking for grants. So in our case, there are space agency which provide support also to startups interested in exploiting data from, for example, from satellite images. And there are many opportunities in this sector, and we are working a lot in order to present calls and reply to different calls for application in order to have also support by them.
Yeah, so basically you have taken the route of demonstrating to as many players as possible and to as many use cases and.
Yeah, so our platform builds on several building blocks. So our strategy was, okay, we cannot face the whole picture all together. It's too complex. So let's build the building blocks separately as a pilot project. And so we work in the direction of rare vegetation. We work in the direction of identification of underground structures. And then our multi-risk framework combines all these elements and adds on top of that. And so we decompose the problem, we solve the specific task, and then now we're working in the component of the framework which combines all this information and provides higher level output to the client or to the stakeholder.
Well, in the case of the drones, the domain of the drones is quite dynamic. How do you valorize as much of the opportunities being a small company?
Yeah, it's a challenge because I think the word that is around us, the challenge, is the first word that we need to address. Challenge for us and challenge for the industry itself. Of course, for us, the challenge is the word that keeps us alive as a company, as a small company, around 12 employees, but still growing. We like to address those challenges and to develop this type of custom projects for our clients, but also for ourselves to keep growing. Yeah, for this challenge, a specific challenge, we collaborate with a national institute of R&D, of research and development, called COMOTI, for gas turbines. And the idea is because the drone and the drone industry evolves in such a rapid way, we do not want it to reinvent the wheel. Because we do not have the time to do that. So we took some existing pieces from that puzzle, like it was mentioned here. So we have the drone, we have a tethering station. The idea is how to build that mechanism to throw those balls, to carry and to trigger it according to the requirements of the firefighters. So that challenge is to have a functional system to grow and to develop it from the TRL 4 up to 6 in existing environmental conditions through that project. So for this, we applied for PED. Subsidy scheme, I think I mentioned correctly, in order to help us from the subsidy point of view and grants perspective to develop this solution. So in conclusion, we like challenges. That's not the only challenge that we are involved with. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Well, you have already proven. All three of the companies, you have already proven that, well, it's a good track, it's a good strategic approach, but yeah, it's still a lot of work. Well, now let's go a little bit to the market, look at the market, because all the products that you are working on, they are meant to serve the global market, the international market, at least the European market in a first phase, but later on a global market. How do you feel, how prepared you are?
Yeah, the market for the drone business or the drone industry is pretty big. It's increasing very, very fast. So if I recall correctly, the market for the drone industry in 2022 was around 20 billions. But altogether, the whole industry, and it increases up to 23 billions in 2 years. So very fast growing. If we divide the market, we must say that there are military drones, drones for professional use, drones for consumer and hobbies, FPV drones and these kind of things. So we need to split between those, and different market has different trends and increases in different rhythms. I think the governmental sector, what we address currently, unfortunately or fortunately, is has the first focus those days, and we are aware due to the war that is close to us. And I think based on that, we need to push and to address those markets as a priority. For going outside or internationally, we are prepared in terms of network infrastructure, because we have a very good network or networking infrastructure. We are part in different organizations. We are part in different working groups. So when it will be the time to move to the next step, I think we already create the framework to do that.
So we work with satellite data, and so we are lucky from this perspective, because from day one we have the capability to go global, let's say. One of the pilots that we have developed was in South America, and it was very interesting. The challenge was to understand the coverage of the satellite and the type of satellite that you have in Europe. Maybe they're not available in some other part of the world, and so which are the corresponding type of data that you can use, how to replace them. I think the biggest challenge in a sense is also connected to national regulation, because of course we want to provide, let's say, instruments which support the person who have to take decision, and this decision have to be taken also take into account the national regulations. So there is of course a phase of researching, collecting the data, understanding what are the differences between the countries. We target at the beginning, of course, European market is easy for us, but on the other side is also we have the advantage that we have, in a sense, very informed clients, because they know exactly what they want to know, and they use our tools for preliminary analysis. And so this is, we have a support from them in order to better understand how to approach the differences between the different markets. So I would say that we are preparing in these two directions, and probably we have certain advantages, certain disadvantages, depending on the perspective, but I think that in a sense it's a privilege to work with satellite data with respect to other type of industries, from this perspective at least.
In our case, by definition, the product is meant to be global. It's meant to have a global constellation of stratospheric satellites. But as they are at 20 kilometers, in our case, the international regulations are much more difficult to tackle. And not only in terms of the products that we would deliver, but also in terms of having the rights to surpass a certain country, a certain territory. So this issue was also like definitory on the applications that we decided to have first, and then to go further. But first we would address meteorological and environmental applications. So applications for which already international protocols are in place, and even I think even in this situation it could get tricky, because we can optimize the route of the flight, but still in every corner of the world you have sensible locations that you need to not to observe. And but yeah, for us, this global market, which is the market that we are actually addressing, so we're not addressing a national market, it also comes with these specific national issues.
Yeah, I mean, we want to be among the first clients to access the images, of course. Now, what I wanted to say is that, well, the choice of the three companies that are here sitting at the table is, I think, very interesting. There are a lot of connection, and of course, we work on different aspects. We work on software, other people are working on hardware, and of course, I mean, the topic of how to use high-resolution data through drones or through balloons is very important for the perspective of the analysis that you want to do, because, of course, some type of analysis are limited by the resolution of the images, about how many images you have per month, per week, and so on. So I think that all the direction that go bring higher resolution will have huge impact on the market and on the services that can be provided. So I'm looking forward to have access to different type of data in order to increase the quality of our prediction. What we want to do and what we are looking at is the possibility to provide not only like corporates which want to build instruments to evaluate the sustainability, but also government and NGO who are interested in understanding and evaluating and assessing the impact of existing infrastructure. So I think that the way in which we want to improve the future is to provide instruments which allow to understand what has been a sustainable choice and what is not, and how this can be improved, how different choices can be made. So we wanted to provide basically instrument for the stakeholders to evaluate the sustainability factors of a large infrastructure and plan better for the future.
And well, this makes me think about a recent interview that I've seen with Jane Goodall, the environmentalist, the activist. She mentioned that she has a very strong position, and she would like to recommend, this was in the Davos conference just a few weeks ago, she said that she would like to recommend and enforce the fact that only decision makers that will be mindful of the environment would be allowed to lead you know. Of course, this will not happen overnight, but any decision maker that wants to have to take fair decisions would need instruments to do it.
Exactly. So it's not enough the data. Data are available. There are many open programs for satellites, but we need also the software to extract as much as possible from this data and provide the decision makers the right information.
Beyond Skyline Drones, now it's the firefighting drones. That would be the concept. Basically, they have a very important role in tackling these fires that we see in nature, that we see in residential areas all over, that are becoming more dangerous, more critical, more difficult to manage.
Yeah, for this solution, of course, and but I will add later on a couple of other aspects how we can contribute in the drone industry to different other industries. For these specific ones, if we take the topic of waste of water or the water management, because water is a limited resource and we do not respect as much as it should be. So this will be the main topic. This is how we wanted to address and to tackle that issue, because using this type of suppressed balls used for the firefighters departments, we contribute to that area in order to reduce the waste of water by using those balls, which are more effective. The balls itself are biodegradable, so they are not waste on those buildings. So this is the main topic that we wanted to address. Of course, that's the first step, going to tall buildings where cannot be reached by traditional equipments. Of course, after this will be validated by the market and go to the next stages. These type of approaches can be launched by bigger drones or by helicopters for the firefighting issues, for forestry or big disasters area. If you wanted to address, because Luigi mentioned about other aspects in other industries, using drones in order to reduce the impact for example, in agriculture, of applying pesticides or herbicides are currently in place. So providing variable application maps in order to apply variable dose fertilizers or herbicides, it is currently undergoing. Or replacing the usage of helicopters with drones when you do inspections of power lines, it's also the next step. So on a daily basis, the drones are used in order to replace the traditional methods, the traditional way of doing inspection or mapping, and provide, of course, this was mentioned, digitalized data, mostly in real time in the past period, and based on those real time data, the stakeholders can have quick reactions and with huge impact. So that's the idea, and how the drones I can see in the next future.
And I also noticed that you mentioned in your presentation today about how much waste is generated in space by the traditional satellites, which is a huge amount. So if you just remind us the amount of waste, it's incredible that we are already polluting so much the stratosphere. So in what ways is the Terzi different?
So related to this part of space debris, which is really shocking. At the moment, it's actually not shocking, but it will become, because from what we know, there are about 23,000 objects larger than 10 centimeters roaming around the Earth at 18,000 kilometers an hour. And each time they hit something, more debris is generated, and this could really lead to an exponential progress there. Although you're thinking that there are so many altitude levels and the space is big, it is, but not as big as it used to be, and especially in the future, in the next 10, 20 years, at this rate, the space will be filled with satellites that are out of control, countries that do not report on actions that they do. For example, on my daily basis, I work with meteorological satellite, and some 2 weeks ago I was in Darmstadt at the EUMETSAT control room, and they said that about 2 times a month they need to correct the trajectory of the polar satellites, because they get like a very short notice that a dangerous object is approaching, and those satellites cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and each time something hits an object, a debris hits a satellite, or I mean, fortunately none of the very expensive satellites have been hit, but this is the present. So in our case, this is one of the impacts that we bring, that we don't have the necessity to go into outer space with all the difficulties that you have there. The fact that a satellite, once on the orbit, you can't take it down and reuse it or make maintenance on the satellite. It will simply go in time on smaller and smaller orbits until in thousands of years will reach the atmosphere and burn there. But some of the parts, usually they land in the Pacific, but you never know. So it's this danger, but the environmental danger is also there. At the moment, satellites are not considered to be big polluters, although for each launch, for example, Starship from SpaceX, I think it burns something like 4,000 or 5,000 tons of fuel until it gets the orbit. So in time, also fuel consumption and fossil fuel burn by satellite, by rocket launch will become a problem. This is also a part that we tackle, the fact that we are aiming to democratize the usage of satellites, which nowadays is prohibitive even for certain countries, and for smaller companies or NGOs it's quite difficult. I mean, they are using the available data on the market, but it's not very common to launch your own satellite, maybe smaller CubeSat satellites, but in our case we would provide quite a heavy payload for satellite at low costs. One of the missions for these IoT platforms, the market that also Google and Facebook were aiming at, is the telecommunication market. And here you have billions of people who are still not connected to the internet, remote areas where land infrastructure is not viable, maritime services which are quite expensive to use, the satellite services.
And this is valid for all the innovation cases that we were discussing about. And well, thank you very much. It's been a privilege, for us in Luminspino to have you in the mentoring program, in the Breakthrough to Scale. We are accompanying you for a while in growing and consolidating what you already achieved. We would like to see the companies growing the innovations as much as possible on the global market. We strongly believe, and this belief is not only as a word, it's something that is based on knowledge and on processes that we can master, as managers, as companies. We truly believe that it doesn't matter from where on the planet you are located. Once that your innovation is of relevance for the entire planet, then it's important during the journey to take the right opportunities and to ditch those things that are obstacles on the road. And in the Breakthrough to Scale, this is what we are trying to do, to support you to ditch the obstacles and to take the opportunities. Thank you very much. We go back to the workshop now, and again, it's been a pleasure. And don't hesitate to talk between yourselves as new ideas will arise. Thank you very much.
Thank you.